When your grips are fixed in place, as they are in collar and elbow, with your right hand on your opponent's collar and your left on his sleeve, many of the common attacks in stand-up grappling all of a sudden become unavailable. Since you can't really make use of your hands, there are no arm drags, no duck unders, no pummeling for underhooks, no body locks, no head and arm throws, no single legs, and no double legs. You can still push, pull, twist, and turn your opponent using your arms, but it's going to be tough to outright take someone down that way. And like a wise man once said, why ignore 50% of the human body? Old newspaper articles about collar and elbow matches in both Ireland and the US frequently refer to how leg-centric it was. Wrestlers would circle each other, constantly firing off combinations of trips, toe taps, foot blocks and sweeps to shake their opponent's base and send him crashing to the ground. The terminology used to describe those old encounters can sometimes be confusing from our modern point of view, because they often talk about things like leg locks. Not a leg lock in the modern sense of a submission hold, but rather any kind of move where you use your foot, knee or hip to lock your opponent's leg in place while you pushed or threw him over it. They also use something called a heel hook, where you literally hooked your opponent's heel with the back of your foot. You still see it used nowadays in other Celtic styles like Breton Guren and Scottish backhold, where it's called a back heel. This prolonged battle of legs was one of the defining features of a collar and elbow bout, and was something that old admirers of the style frequently lauded as evidence of its strategic and scientific beauty. Irish historian John Ennis maintained that the art of collar and elbow lives in the feet, which are kept dexterously sparring and feinting for an opening to use its various hooks, trips and locks. In Charles Wilson's The Magnificent Scufflers, probably the definitive book on the history of collar and elbow in the United States, he notes that the opening stance enables each wrestler to use his feet and lower legs with exceptional effectiveness. It enables the lightfoot artists or the deft tripper, quite regardless of size or weight, to earn particular advantage by means of artistry and skill of foot motion. And in a Pennsylvania newspaper article about a bout between two miners on New Year's Day 1881, the author proposes that a collar and elbow match between two skilled contestants is really a fist fight with the feet. The most common term for a practitioner of collar and elbow was a scuffler, but another frequently used term for them was tripper, because more often than not, that was what they used to bring their opponents down. Or off-balance him and create an opening for something like a sacrifice throw, or a flying mare. In 1967, a journalist travelled to Fairfield, a small village of less than 2,000 people in Vermont in the US. Despite its small size, it had once, over 8 decades previously, produced a world champion in collar and elbow. At that point, the style had well and truly gone extinct in the region, but the journalist was able to find two old men who took hold of each other's shirts and demonstrated just how collar and elbow had been practiced among their grandfathers and great-grandfathers before them. During the impromptu demo, the article notes, nobody got hurt, but there were a couple of bruised ankles afterwards. Almost a century after collar and elbow had ceased to be practiced, those two old scufflers still hadn't forgotten their roots.